How big of a difference did the filters from yesterday make? Do you want the short answer or the long answer? Beat Oblivion. Oh, do you want the short answer or the long answer? Beat Oblivion all AI already. Short answer? It was a difference. A difference. A very long answer? Okay, beat Oblivion already. Here's how big of a difference the filters from yesterday made. The filters don't actually do much. It's more of a visual change, but the visual change is something that affects like my processing in my brain, right? Technically, filters should theoretically be like a disadvantage because when you add processing into your tablet, it's just going to add latency or it's going to add some sort of fucky-wucky random shit, right? So at the end of the day, if I move my tablet or if I move my pen from one area to another, it's going to do that, right? All the filters do is basically modify the trajectory or modify some processing of it, right? So in theory, like it shouldn't do anything, right? But what it feels like to me is it makes me more confident in my aim. Because when I see my cursor shaking or when I jump to something and say I'm trying to jump to this corner, like ideally the jump movement is like this, right? But sometimes I see my jump movement be like this. You see how like I overshoot it and then go back in, right? That's technically like a wiggle type shit. And whenever I see that wiggle, it like in my brain, it feels like I'm being less confident in my aim. And when I'm less confident in my aim, it translates into physical disadvantages, such as me tensing up more in an effort to try to control my aim more. Because if I'm not as confident in what my movements are doing, I'm going to try to have more control so I can enforce it to be, confident. So having it shake less, which is what the filter that I enabled did, having this anti-chatter enabled applies just a tiny bit of smoothing to my drivers. So now whenever I move it, it just shakes just a tiny bit less. But that tiny bit less shaking instills a little bit more confidence in myself. And that tiny bit of more confidence, like emotional confidence in my aim, allows me to be more loose with my movements, with my hands. And that looseness in my aim allows me to aim faster, aim more confidently, aim more accurately, and do all this other stuff. So how big of a difference does it make? I don't actually know. But it feels good. And that's how I want to keep using it.